Okay, folks, two words you don't use together. Happy Monday. Especially since this really feels like a Sunday, but it's not. Okay, let's move all of the things that we were working on yesterday out of the way. We'll move the figures over here. We'll have this squad leader that we need to paint. The clear coat on. We'll go ahead and start with that. We have to do that anyways. No point in painting the whole figure and not clear coating them, so we can move on to the next step. No, it's none of those. It's one of these probably. Looking for my flat brush. It doesn't have to be the flat brush. This one I guess I'll have to do. Some Viejo Matmar. Wow. Need to learn how to speak this morning. Matte varnish. Good morning, Marcus. Showed up this morning for some spotted dick. That's what we're doing next. We're going to see if this is going to work out, or I'll have to modify it and do it a different way. I will make my own little things for these foxholes and stuff. I just took the path of the least resistance, which was to use these cards that I have a ton of. Okay, so that's this lad has done whatever his name is, which I guess I should probably figure that out. I still got some you almost went end of World War One time on us yesterday. What? You stopped me short? Okay, well this isn't a World War One show, so that's fine. Here's the most unbelievable part about yesterday. I felt like I was doing it for 2 hours. That's a good thing. Let's hope today feels the same way, and the next day, and the next day. And we'll be here early Thursday, unless I oversleep, for Thanksgiving celebration. That's where everybody gets to give tank. Alright, where's my names? I'm a fairly worldly person, and my brother lived in London for about 15 years, but I don't know what spotted dick is. And there's no reason you should. I'm not sure what it is. It's something that shouldn't be called spotted dick. It's not even a meat product. It's like a bread pudding cake thing, and it's got nuts or something in it, and it looks like this. We're gonna find a picture of it, and there's no reason why you should know what that is. Now, I'm a fairly worldly person too, but well, I used to be, and then the world changed. Spotted dick. It is a traditional British steam pudding made with suet, whatever the fuck that is, and dried fruit. It's British fruitcake. It's probably just fine, you know. I mean, unless it has any of their filtered meats in it. I mean, if you made that with like blueberries, that'd be okay. Spotted dick is usually slightly sweet and delicately flavored with lemon. It doesn't traditionally contain eggs, so it's easy to veganize. Bam! What'd you just do to me? I just veganized you. Alright, I think I'm going to need to do one of these little tricks. Tony's tricks. The tricks to basically keep crap off of your table. Now, where's me goop? Where's me goop? Not me goop. This stuff. This amazing material that's made where? Where's this made? Made in the USA with globally sourced materials. Okay, it's got Chinese stuff in it. Has no smell. Removable mounting putty. This stuff is just a million and one uses. All right, so I'm gonna. These don't need to be very big spots, but I need to lift it up off of this so I can paint the edges. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. All right. So now I'll put this in enough different spots so when I'm pressing it, I don't want to flex it and deform it just in case. My only concern with this material was two things. It's going to take a long time to dry. That's past. And the other issue is that it doesn't have enough of a pushback, and it gets squishy and it could crack. So I didn't want to make 4 of them, and then it didn't work out. Okay, and now the next one. Think you're going to work on your Panzer II for Thanksgiving? Yeah. Mine will be the A13. Unless I cheat and work on the 25 pounder. You said you don't have the 25 pounder? And the thing is I asked around, and apparently the one that's more appropriate for Africa is the one that's on the Morris tractor, which I think is more attractive. Not that the Canadian truck is ugly, but sorry about that. But I like the Morris tractor better. The Canadian truck's probably more reliable. I'm gonna guess, but there was only one I could find. You know, plastic soldier companies up to, oh well, we only are going to make 100 units this year, and we're not going to start the factory back up until March. I don't know what their business model is, but I don't like it. It's weird. I'm not a fan of supply shortage shit. Like, it doesn't make sense to me. Like, okay, you make a product, yes. You want to sell the product to make money, yes. So make the fucking product. It's just that simple. We need to get more sales. Okay, well, you need to manufacture things. Oh man, really? Yes, that's how it works. That's what happened at work. They'll be making all these things, and it's not stuff that people want. Like, you need to make the things that people, there's a demand for. Like, look, there's a backlog on 20 of these things. Well, we still have to make these other ones. Why? Who's asking for those? I ship the stuff out. I fucking know. I mean, you know. Okay, what is this clown gonna be called? Larkin. That just sounds like somebody who's a dweeb. Egan Crumb. Crump. Yeah. Like Trump, but with a C. No, that sounds like somebody really grumpy. Does this guy look grumpy? Eh. I think he's gonna make him a McGregor. I'm gonna make him McGregor. Where's Jeffrey at? Jeffrey here this morning? I have a Jeffrey question. My Jeffrey question would be, what does mech mean in front of a thing? Is it like a Gaelic son of? I mean, that would make sense, you know. Where's my glue? A Jeffrey question. Well, he's from that part of the world. I know. I was looking at the PSC honeys last night. I couldn't find much. I have a Jeffrey question too. I want to know if he's ever tried EWM. He probably has. I I got mixed feelings about them. Now, I've never tried them. Some of their stuff looks a little. It has edges that should be sharp and aren't. Okay, so sloppy. Yeah, I didn't mean that. Don't mean that derogatory. Just looks a little sloppy. And I was looking at. I need some figures with some boys anti-tank rifles. And the hat. British heavy machine guns or British machine guns has a guy in there, which is very hard to get a hold of. And you know what? Somebody else makes them too. I found them the other day. But I wanted to see if Early War Miniatures has them. And they don't have a lot of pictures of their stuff. And some of the pictures I've seen of their infantry, they look. I don't think they'll mix well with these guys. I've heard people comment about their stuff and they seem generally happy with them. Or it's a good thing these guys are around because they make this particular certain product that nobody else makes. Or they have removable heads. You know, but I have a feeling a lot of their poses are the same, but you can switch their heads around. But if you want them all to have the same head, then do you have the same figure? You know, so. Uh-oh. This isn't centered. Okay. Now, That should fit just like, oh, fudge sickle. Fudge sickle, fudge sickle, fudge sickle. All right, hold on. It got crimped there. All right, I think I can live with that. If not, I'll print another one. Like, my figure's been violated and he hasn't gone on the battlefield yet. Like, not cool. No ill effects from yesterday's marathon. Me? No. No, I lost weight. I should do that every day. I was surprised how long this little model took to build. It's disappointing it took that long, but it's also a good thing I decided to do it on the day that I did. Otherwise, it would have taken who knows how many shows to get done with it. 4? But it's definitely not for an 8-year-old. Absolutely not. You know, maybe an 8-year-old like Mozart. Actually, he probably couldn't paint with his shit. Musician. All right. Let the dickery begin. There he is. There's Jeffrey. We got some Jeffrey questions. Oh, that was. See, I thought that was Marcus. See, both of you guys have like a. You guys are all fleshy. McGregor, Jeffrey. Does the MEC, MAC, or the MC? Obviously, the MC is just an abbreviation of the MAC. Is that like a tie-in with the son of name, or does it mean just something else? You would know. If anybody of the viewers would watch, it's you. That's over in your homeland. It'd be like, you know, if you got somebody here to ask about palm trees, I'd be your guy. I don't know. I just kind of thought that at the last minute. Oh, we got us a mess on that one. Guys, I couldn't see, so you guys are both the same thing. You know, like all I see is a fleshy dot over there, a flesh-colored dot. Get one of you guys to wear face paint or something. Look different. All right. Spotted Dick. Man, I feel like this should be a Sunday. And it should be. It's alright, we're going into a short week. We'll be okay. We'll manage. That's the main reason why I was on as long as I was last night. Yesterday. Actually, that's correct. Last night, yesterday, and the afternoon. And then the daughter and the wife came back. Like, you were on, how? Like, I wasted my whole day. I'm like, look, I didn't eat the house. I spent no money. I worked on the things that I already have. Like, what else am I supposed to do? You know? That's exactly what I should do. You knew where to find me. And this is going to look like ass, okay? It always does. When I paint this color, it's like, oh, you picked the wrong color, lad, you know? But trust the process. That's why I do one. Oh man, I wanted to do the Sanger first. that was going to be a pain in the butt with that many rocks. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the rocks a little bit different. I don't care if I'm going to overcover them a little bit, because otherwise I put too many down. I'll be here forever and a day. I should have painted the inside first, shouldn't I? Yes, you should have. What ill effects could I have had? Well, the thing that would have killed me is if I had this raised anymore than all the way at the bottom. My back would have hurt me. Unless I was at the other desk, which I don't really use for painting, I can raise that one a lot higher. But then I'm like this. You know, I'd be doing a show. I'd be doing a show like this. Okay, we're working on it. Yeah, it would come with that. It would come with that voice too. But if I have the chair too high, my back will. I don't have a bad back. I'm just saying, you know, any uncomfortable position from a long period of time, and you know, it's going to be an issue. Marks. I bought some of their BEF infantry and a whole lot of temporary grave markers to act as pin markers for bolt action and other games. It seems to me, like I was saying earlier, that they have a lot of variety in head types to attach on your figures, but if the bodies are very similar, sometimes the head types, you don't want a whole lot of variety. Like if you want a bunch of Tommies with the tin helmet, they're all going to have probably the same head, right? I don't think they have multiple heads with the tin helmet on them. It's just like a tin helmet guy and a turban and a Sikh turban and a Rajputa turban and a, you know, because they have like 3 different turbans for the Indians, which is kind of cool. Until you probably find out that they're in 3 different units. You can't mix and match them. But what I've heard people say about them is that it's a good thing they're around because they make stuff nobody else makes. But you know, when I have an opportunity to spend all day painting, I take it because that pushes the narrative. Well, technically yes, because I'm talking, but it pushes the momentum of everything forward. More likely to get, you know, stuff done for a game, which isn't really the overall objective, but you know. Vehicles anyone versus it's either them or Britannia or 21st for 21st Panzer of Normandy. I have not seen. I have seen some of the pictures of early war miniatures, and I would not. I would not buy Britannia. I've got some of the Britannia vehicles, and they're. I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of them. I'm really not a fan of their figures. But if I had to be honest, here we go. Man, it sounds like you're lying to us all the time. Yeah, it sure does sound like that. In my choice of words, I would prefer Britannia to FAA. I don't like FAA at all. The reason I don't like Britannia is they all have the same face and it's very big. It's like Simon Cowell. You ever seen Simon Cowell? He's got like a midget's face on a midget's body. Like it's really big. Which is, there's nothing wrong with it, but do you want everybody in your army to look like that? You know? And I've got a couple of Britannia vehicles, and I don't love them. I got them because, you know, oh, you have something in 20 millimeter? Okay, I guess I'll buy that. It's better than mail ordering it. One of my Fireflies is from there. I got a Sherman crab I haven't finished painting. That's there. What else do I have? This Britannia. I feel like there's two more vehicles or something like that. You know, if I have something, I don't mind using it. But if I'm going to go out of my way and buy it, then I want to be a little pickier. You know, it's just like if I go over to your house to eat, I'm not going to like not eat your food, you know, unless it's super weird shit, right? It's got to be really weird. But if I'm going to go to a restaurant, I mean, I order what you served me, you know, I would pick something else. Don't serve me super weird shit. I don't know that I'm going to like this only because it's a little too raised. It's a little too vertical. But I don't see any other way to do it if I wanted to use it on this card. So this may not be the way to work that works. I may have to put it on a bigger base so that I can slope the ends more. But this will look okay. But this one, I'm not so sure. It's not going to be color. It's not going to be texture. It's just going to be the verticality of it. Ah, another new word. You like the Britannia vehicles. Okay. So you're immune to my naysaying. Although a better match with 176 scale. Really? They're kind of bulky. Okay. I mix the two. I mean, you know, the best looking stuff is still Cromwell. There's only one Cromwell. And even for being resin vehicles, those things I don't think have a single bubble in them. Which I need to finish my what's the Cromwell? What's that thing? My Grilla. The Grilla from Manila. There's got to be a German town that rhymes with Grilla, and that's where that thing will be from. It's not going to be some Filipino self-propelled gun in German service. That just doesn't sound right. Okay, we'll have to screw with this at lunchtime because this needs some time to dry. I'm not impressed right now, okay, but I'm not done yet. I know better than that. Dude, man, trust the process. Yeah, I prefer 1/72 as well. Because the figures are not so much with the plastic figures, but like the white metal figures are overscale. So the vehicle needs to be a little you know, robust. That's the only reason. I mean, you know, if you grab one or grab the other one, you can't really tell your difference. Your body can't really tell the difference. But you put a figure next to it, and it just looks a little diminutive. Verticality. I don't write any of those things down. Like I wouldn't send a Sent an email. Yeah, our mountain climbing trip went well, except the verticality really kicked our ass. Like I won't say stuff like that. It's only in verbiage. Although if I said it, probably everybody would know what I'm talking about. We have a family friend that had a fetish. Maybe that's too strong of a word for using a term that was not proper English language. And then they went and added it to the dictionary. So then it became modern English language. And that word is ginormous. So I guess if you contact the right people, maybe they can add it into the dictionary for you. I need to contact them, see if they can add impetuate in there for me. I don't need to use that word anymore, though. We don't play that game. Impetuate. I'm sure there's words you use that other people don't use. They want to use at work all the time, and everybody knows what it means. Well, I'm working with a bunch of dudes, so that helps. Recon. I'm gonna go do a recon. I'm not gonna call it a recce. Reconnaissance. Trying to be careful so these little rocks don't pop off. If they do, there's certainly enough of them. I went wild. You guys must have distracted me while I was doing this. And I don't mind buying something like this already made, but I can make this exactly to the parameters I want them to be physically. Like I want it to be this size. And I can start working on it now. Like, well, let's see if they've got my order yet. Start making these on the side for no. You can only do that in Britain, where they subsidized your health care. You. I guess you could, like I was saying earlier. I bet it's probably easier to do a cottage industry in Britain. Where you don't have to have somebody give you insurance. And that's without me having any health issues. If I had health issues, that'd be even more paramount. But like, what's that guy, the terrain tutor? I don't know what happened to him. I think he had some kind of issues or whatever. But he like quit his job and started doing that full time. Well, good for him. But I don't know if that turned out well or not. But you can't do that here unless you're retired. Try to wipe some of this off. Yeah, yeah, that's working well. Yep. Okay, so we can make some more of these rocks a little bit visible. Well, I want them to have some gray to them. That's kind of like an undercoat of gray on them. There we go. Not all of them, some of them. We're gonna have to paint a background for this guy, for these guys, for the desert. The one I have, I don't really like. It's got like mountains and shit like that. I did it for one of my, I think for the Carriage guys. That's what it was done for. Oh, we found us some spots over here we done missed. Okay, I think that's enough. Just a little bit of the gray showing through, and then we're gonna roll into this. And hopefully I like how this turns out. So I'll use these bases. Otherwise, I'll just pull them off the base. I actually don't have the tires glued down. Gotta run soon. My wife is returning from her California trip. She took the red-eye flight. Oh, she left and you still have to cook. I know, she left the kid with you. I've been there before. Well, I don't know what my schedule's going to be in the evenings this week. Because the daughter's here. But I'm sure we'll do something, but it just might not be for, 11 freaking hours. Unfortunately. Yeah, the bad part about it, 11 hours, is it just goes by too quick. You know, 11 hours, man, that's a waste of your day. I said, well, I'm going to have to paint for that amount of time anyways, working on it. And you saw that you don't really get that much stuff done. So it's just a matter of, do you want to knock out that many hours in one day? Or is it going to be over several days? I'm going to go inside of this a little bit in case that shows. Ten vehicles came out at a time when 172nd, 176, 20 mil, and HOOO were interchangeable. They're not interchangeable now? I always like when you say, what scale are you doing? 20 millimeter. And 20 millimeter is not a scale. Okay, well then you figure out what scale I'm doing. 20 millimeter just allows you to, to lump all those things that you just mentioned, Jeffrey, in one category. It's the overarching. At least that's how I use it. And as much as I like 20 millimeter, I wouldn't want to do ancients in 20 millimeter. There isn't any. It's a variety issue. It's a balance between, man, do they make a lot of stuff for this? And and do you like the scale? Like, I like the 20 millimeter scale, but I'm using this to represent individual people. So if I did, I don't need to do that with ancients. They're units. As a matter of fact, I haven't seen very many posts from any of the ancient sites, and I haven't not been a member of those groups. I wonder if that's the same thing. Just the algorithm only shows you the top whatever sites that you go to. Since I haven't been there in a while, because I don't do that anymore. I don't get that stuff recommended. But there was a set of rules that seemed to be like it was grabbing a lot of momentum, and I don't remember what it is. It's the set of rules made by the Argentinian guys, and I can't remember what it's called right now. It's a 28 millimeter thing. I'm sure you could play it in other scales as well, but that was kind of a skirmish game. But you could build Romans and stuff like that. Can't remember what it's called right now. Steels. I don't know. I don't remember. Grubby will be a big miss, but quite a few of their constructed secondhand soft skins from him at shows. I'm sure somebody will pick it up, right? Come on, Jeffrey. Let's go in halvesies on it. Is it grubby? It's grooby, right? I bet everybody calls him grubby. It's that group. It's that grubby grooby guy. I'd be really questioning my choices with this had I not based all these guys the same way. Oh, I was like, this isn't going to turn out the way I think it's going to. I think this will be okay. And really, the only reason this is on a base is because of because of the tires. If this thing broke down in another way that the tires weren't just thrown off to the side, I would just not put it on a base. Okay, base color. Stickum, not goop. That's what this stuff's called. Stickum. That's the unofficial name. That's the Tony name for this stuff. For wall tack or crazy tack. There's a couple of companies that you just never hear about, ever. And they're still in business. Frontline is one of them. Ravensthorpe. Never hear about Ravensthorpe. Never hear about Ravensthorpe. And I'm sure there's others. They were 5 pounds a shot, avoids 10-hour marathons, putting soft skins and universal carriers together. Well, let me tell you about my Airfix experience yesterday. It's just like airbrushing. Don't make any fucking plans. Like you just don't know how long it's gonna take. I'm I'm floored that it took longer than an hour to put. I look at it like, okay, Airfix, old kit, been around for a while, probably pretty simple, should be easy to put together, right? Nope. Like it, it surprised me. It really surprised me. I mean, I have the patience for it, and it happened on the right day, but there's no kid doing that. There's no kid putting that thing together, right? Especially when I was a kid. I didn't use this shit. I didn't use that weld cement. I used a one with a tube, and that's just a disaster. So, I don't. I'd rather spend the 10 hours painting it than the 10 hours building it. Is I'm a painter, not a builder. It doesn't mean I can't build things or that I don't enjoy building things, but you know, I'm not one of those. Let's see how we can make this thing more accurate. It's a fucking war game model, right? I want to paint it accurate, but like I trust. You gotta sub things out. Like you fuckers make the models, right? I paint. Don't tell me how to fucking paint it, okay? I got that, right? So, um, you gotta sub things out. There was a guy who was fumbling around. He's this guy had come up with this article on the Mark 6 light tanks from S model, which are on my to get list, but we can't get everything at once. I'm actually I like the stuff that I have. It's kind of like behind the scenes and not like the all the glorious stuff, Like this stuff is great, and these trucks and stuff, the 25-pounder softskins, that's great in these skirmish battles because they can take rifle fire and get hurt by rifle fire, which makes for a good game. But the Mark 6 light tanks, he's like, oh, here's this article that I made about how to convert them to make them more accurate. And he had all kinds of plastic, pieces on them. And I'm like, man, I don't want to see that. I want to, I can't even get myself to do freaking bed rolls and stuff on vehicles. And I'm just lazy when it comes to that. I got to make a decision, but I can always add them afterwards. But, you know, maybe if I was doing a bunch of them at once, then I'd be like, all right, I got to make these honeys different. But honestly, what I hate about green stuff is it takes a while to dry. So I lose my momentum. I lose my momentum. I've done stuff with green stuff where it's like I need this piece, like I can't proceed without it, but owner's name is Andy Grubb. Lost Battalion Games have FAA now. Yeah, they're up in. I just don't like their faces, and some of their guns are questionable what they look like. But it's like Plastic Soldier Company. I think very highly of Plastic Soldier Company. They don't do everything right. Nobody does. I don't do everything right. Okay, and they have a couple different sculptors for their figures. And some of the sculptors, I don't like their Desert Rats and Africa Corps. They're FAA ish, you know. Now those Marines that they made, and I think that the guy in Spain was the one that did them, because it's a similar style. The one of the two guys in Spain, who is it? The ex guy, and then the Plana Mayor guy. That's the two guys that are in Spain. I don't know if they're related or they were in business together, whatever. They have a very similar style, which is a style I like. Um, Kind of a cross between AB and Battlefield. They're more AB than Battlefield. I like Battlefield for some of their stuff could be all over the place. Battlefield's kind of the opposite. A lot of the Battlefield's figures are the opposite of Britannia figures. Britannia figures are like triangles, so they're like fatter towards the top, and their legs are smaller. So they have like a size 4 foot, but under the giant's head. I'm exaggerating a bit. And Battlefield's the opposite. Sometimes guys have a really small helmet with a really small head and body, and they've got these big old cankles, which the figure's not going to break at the ankles. Or those guys. But anyways, the Marines that they make for they look like they could have a lot of soft detail, but the style they're done in really jives with me. Unfortunately, they're Marines, so I'm like not really in the market for them. I'm probably still going to use them for. If I do my late war U.S. in the Philippines, I'm probably going to use them. They don't look too exclusively Marine-ish. So, but that's another project. Honestly, I'm enjoying this one a lot better, except for, and I wasn't expecting this. There's a lot of really picky people about British stuff. And that's, like I said before, the British stuff is just as quirky as the Germans, but there's not enough documentation on it. It's harder to find. And, I don't want to find out that, hey, you did this wrong after I've already done it. So. I put a fair amount of thought into doing things before I do them. I don't usually whim let's paint this green. Let's make sure that it's green first. So, somebody was just telling me yesterday, there's some people that are just difficult to deal with. Was all upset about that I painted the color of the boots wrong for the Australians. And I'm like, okay, that may be, but I'm going to, my rationale is I've got some Australian figures and I've got some British figures, and I'm going to intermix them when we do Australians because they all wear the same helmets. The Australians sometimes have the tin helmets on them as well. I want to be able to mix both of them and have more Australians, right? And obviously those guys won't show up if I'm just doing British. I'm not going to have guys with brown boots and guys with black boots. Guys making a big deal out of it. It doesn't bother me any. It's a tiny little fucking boot, It's not like they have the wrong heraldry on them or something like that. I can't worry about everything. And it's done. And then if I did that, it's okay, let me go back and repaint the Australians with brown boots. Then when I use them with the British, I'll be like, who are these other guys? Well, they're also Australian. Well, they can't because they've got the black boots. Go away. Your mom's calling. It's time for dinner. I don't poo-poo other people's stuff, so I don't put up with nonsense. Don't discourage me from my hobby. It keeps me from being an active shooter. I'll come visit you first. I've seen pictures, some guy it's a new guy, you can tell he's a new modeler. And he decided, hey, here's a new picture of my first tank I built. It was a Panther, and he painted Panzer Gray. I don't say anything to him. There's no need. You want to paint it pink? Paint it pink. I don't give free advice. If you ask me, that's different. I don't volunteer free advice. It's discouraging. It can be discouraging. Especially if you're on your skills or you're learning or something like that, Well, so we have the bases of the two 2-pounders with their Sanger drying. Can't do anything with that because it's drying. And the spotted dick foxhole thing, which, but these other ones I'm happy with them, and they're pretty damn vertical too. Well, we're gonna follow the process and see where it leads us. We're gonna follow the process and see where it leads us. But this is the card it's made out of. I can't make it much bigger. And I wanted a 3-man foxhole. So if I like how it looks, but it still is too vertical for me, I won't make any more. We'll keep this one. And because I just cut the other ones out. And we'll get a sheet of styrene and cut those patterns out and just make it a bigger footprint so it can slope more, you know. But if it was an opportunity to use these cards that I have, I don't know, 30, 40 of them, you know, 30, 40 cards. My wife thought, why are you always leave? I said, I leave them in my pocket. I forget. We leave the hotel and, over 15 years of staying in hotels, I mean, you accumulate, 3 or 4 of them a year from our travels, from when my daughter was doing swimming stuff, we'd go and we'd stay somewhere, get another card, go to Historicon or something. I know I'm driving the price of hotels up just by doing that. I got a little bit of time, a wee bit. So I'm going to go ahead and put the goop on this guy. Oh, Marcus, you just left? Well, where you been? I thought you were already gone. Jeffrey, what's your favorite World War II campaign? Like, if you're doing World War II, what are you doing first? Heck, I'd probably use these guys in the Pacific too. I mean, so the basing's a little different. They're wearing shorts. I mean, I buy other guys to supplement them, but late 44, early 45, Holland and Germany. Okay. That's cool. I mean, other than the stupid white stars they put on the top of British tanks, and Canadian tanks too. Um, yeah, I could see that. The only reason I know Market Garden is really popular. I've never been a fan of Market Garden because I don't really like paratroopers. Because they don't have a full combined arms stuff with them. Now, the British paratroopers smocks are awesome. The British paratroopers look great. They make the U.S. paratroopers look like shit. Okay, so I like the British paratroopers. But the thing I don't like about Market Garden is the Germans they have to fight. The part that I would do about Market Garden is when 30th Corps is trying to push up and they get all of these flank attacks from the Germans. They're all Panzer brigades, and I don't like those Panzer brigades. Like I'm not, you know, they don't have a unit symbol. There's no, they're like a temporary organization. It's hard to get excited about them. And what there was two SS Panzer divisions, but I think those guys were up fighting the paratroopers, which not a whole lot of opportunity of tank on that. What the ninth and the 10th. But the other ones that did the flanking attacks on the 30th Corps were all Panzer brigades. But Holland, yeah, you get to do those. You get to use vehicles that don't get a lot of press, that I think don't get a lot of press. Staghounds and those 77 millimeter armed British tanks. Yeah, that's a cool time period. Do you have your any of your bases with snow on them, or they're just temperate colored? See, I've always, unfortunately, or just the way I look at stuff, I have always not really been interested in a time period where I didn't think that the war could have gone either way. If it's a time period where it looks like, oh, the Axis have lost, why am I even gaming it? And that's really not important because, especially when I'm doing such a small little snapshot. I mean, hell, I could do a scenario in Berlin with a shitload of Russians and some Volkssturm or whatever, and you're playing these last defenders of the Reich, and all you got to do is take 3 times out as many guys as you have, or you've got some asymmetrical objective. I never considered asymmetrical objectives in the past. It was always like, well, there's no point in doing Germans after Kursk because they just don't have a chance. Well, yeah, they don't have a chance to fucking win the war, but what about this tiny little conflict? So when you sometimes look at it like that, the possibilities are a lot. You can do everything. You could do everything, including Holland and stuff like that. I don't know what I'm going to do with my 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 British Shermans, my 4 British Shermans. I'm a little bummed about them. I'm a little bummed about them because they look great. I love painting them. They turned out exactly how I wanted them to turn out. Except, I did some research on what kind of unit of service markings they needed to be for that 8th Armored Brigade, for that one scenario that's in the face of battle. 8th Armored Brigade, which was an independent armor brigade. And figured out what arms of service markings they need to do, and then after I build them, get the decals ordered, come in, they get put on the vehicles, and they look good. I come across 2 pieces of information that the scenario led me astray on. First of all, the scenario says they're all Sherman Mark 5s. The 8th Armor Brigade, as far as I can tell, in that particular company had, because some of them had DD tanks, but in that particular company was all Sherman 3s, not Sherman 5s. So I got all these Sherman 5s painted with the 8th Armor Brigade marking, and they supposedly for that battle shouldn't be. And I know it's not a big deal, but it is for me. Like, I went through all that. It's like, oh man, come on. And the unit of service markings for the 8th Armor Brigade are 3 series, 3 numbered markings, not 2. So I got 2 things I can do. I can get other decals and then re-decal the unit of service markings on them and feel better about it. But then they're still on Mark 5. They're still on Sherman 5s, not Sherman 3s. So I don't know what I'm going to do. And they're damn near my favorite looking tanks of all of them. They just turned out, I was like, because it was one of those like, they're just going to be green, whatever. And then they're like, yeah, they're green, but there's stuff to them. The green tone, man, I hope I can reproduce it. I'm really happy with the way that turned out. So I'm just punting for now. I suspect I'm probably going to relabel them for another unit. And just build some Sherman 3s for that 8th Armored Brigade. I just don't know what unit. Probably, I do the 11th, but the 11th used the Cromwells. So maybe guards or something like that. Maybe I'll do guards, armor brigade. But they look, I mean, they're incredible. They look really, really good. When I make something and I really impress myself, that's what I really like. Because I'm like, I got a pretty good attitude how things are going to turn that are going to turn out for me. And when I'm like, damn, I knew they were going to look good, but I didn't think they were going to look this good. Like, that makes me happy. That makes me like really like want to like, that's it. We're going to do this hobby even more and more often. That's the juices that keep me going. Or maybe, really what I should probably do, make them Canadian. I've said that I wanted to get some Canadian stuff, so, we can apologize for, like, blowing up buildings and shit like that. How about this? I'll wait until I paint some SS, and then we'll make them Canadian. They can go, and then they can go in fisticuffs. Except the Canadian won't have their own infantry. Sorry about that. They'll have to make do with the British infantry. But that's the stuff that's important to me is unit markings. Like, I don't give a fuck about boot colors. It's just, that's not that big of a deal. Lots of different Kampfgruppe around the flanks of Markengarde, Luftwaffe, and other different non-frontline units. Normandy is like World War I and mostly an artillery and mortar battle. Second favorite is France 1940 with Sea Lion as a what if. Looking at Overloon and the river crossing operations in the Netherlands. Get to use buffaloes and kangaroos. Kangaroos are kind of cute. They're ugly in a cute way. Somebody makes a ton of modifications for them. I don't know who it is. Kangaroos are Canadian only, right? Which is weird because you would think that would be Australian only. Hey mate, what you do with our names? Yeah, there's a lot of Dutch buildings too. A lot of Dutch buildings. Well, once we get this guy done. Ooh, 8. What do we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so I'm about a third of the way through the infantry. Without repeats. And I don't mind having a few repeats at all. But let's paint all the single figures first. How many Brens do I have? I think I have 3 Brens. No, I got another. I got this laying down Bren guy. He's gonna look stellar. It's gonna be like, oh, I didn't know that guy could look like that. Yep, yes he can. Put some time into him. He deserves it. He's a veteran. Show some respect. If it wasn't for these guys, you'd be wearing lederhosen. We don't want that. You lederhosen wearing Nazi. We don't want that. But this truck is freaking adorable. But I don't know if I'd get another one. Because it just takes too long to build. I don't know yet. Are we attached well? Boy, this thing is hanging on by a thread. Is it even glued? Wow, this is literally holding on by one axle, and it's not glued. Okay. Jeffrey, I hope I'm not discouraging you when I say this, but I've kind of lost interest in putting my vehicles on stands. That doesn't mean I haven't committed to not doing it. It's just not a priority for me. Um, did I put the springs on backwards on the front? This thing just keeps falling off. You son of a bitch. Where would I? Did I put the springs on backwards on this thing? Or. Oh, it's going to stay how it is, but. Because the springs are normally like this, and the one on the front is in the opposite direction. We're not going to redo it. Well, I'm not afraid of admitting I made a mistake. I'm not fucking perfect. I think it benefits other people to know that, oh, that guy fucks up and can deal with it. I do. I don't want it to happen, but you know, I didn't ask to be born human. Where is this? That shouldn't be. That shouldn't be like that. Man, I was careful. There ain't no damn. Well, I haven't made a mistake yet. It just seems counterintuitive. No, I did it correctly. It's just really weird. It's really weird. If you look at the springs here, that they're the opposite in the opposite direction that the ones in the back are. You get mine for friendship models. I've never heard of friendship models. Are you going to make me surf on a different coast now? I love it. Friendship models. Oh, I forgot to show you. Oh, it went away. Headsets. Image not available. Well, kind of hard to buy stuff when it's not showing me. Russian heads. I don't know what I'm looking at. Oh, Wii friends. Oh, it's my Wii friends. Um, if I had Wii friends, they wouldn't be Soviets. Sorry. Sorry, not sorry. Full kits. 1/72 full kits. Image not available. Wow, these are expensive. And they look good though. Man, this looks really good. That DD tank, that looks really good. But you know what I say? It's only expensive if you buy it and you don't do anything with it. War games friendly vehicles. Okay, these are less expensive. Oh, these look nice. A jumbo. That's a good price for a jumbo. And you could just focus on painting it, you know, which is my main focus. You know, you spend a lot of time building. You're like, I'm gonna just slap the paint on it. I'm like, no, 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 that doesn't work that way. You know. Oh, these carriers are cool. Damn you, Jeffrey. They're not located in London, are they? Ding ding. I don't even know if I'm gonna get to go. I need to have that attitude so that with something goes, like I've said before, I tell you what I plan on doing, and if it doesn't happen, I'm the first person to be disappointed. Because I don't appreciate people saying, I'm going to do something and then it doesn't happen. So, but life happens. So, Mark 3, these are some nice, you know, these Churchills are more affordable than Plastic Soldier Company. Because you only get two of them in a pack for Plastic Soldier Company. Covenant or Bridge Layer. Beaverette. They have different 176 scale full kits. I'm not anti 176. I just prefer AEC Marshall 6x4 Mobile Church of St. George. All right, what the heck is this? That's freaking cool. That's freaking cool. Wow. Well, you've at least given me 30 or an hour or 2 or 4 of hours of entertainment. Excellent. I love the surf. They don't do a good job of advertising. I've never heard of them before. And their products look to be superb. It's not like it's like crap, you know? I am holding off building my PSC soft skins because I want to paint the crew and internal detail before building. So if I had a bunch of soft skins, I would prefer to build them without a crew at all. Or my preference would be to have the crew removable. If I can't remove the crew, then I don't want the drivers in there. I don't want a guy with a driver in there that's empty. But you're doing a different scale of game. You're doing rapid fire, aren't you? So yeah, you're gonna want drivers in there. So like all these guys for the Bofors crew, they're all gonna be removable. Because when the Nazis come over here and start picking some of them off, and they kill whatever his name is, Gorham. I want to be able to take him off and lay him off to the side. Which I just found an error on this thing. But yeah, this takes a special type of person to build this. It takes patience, it takes skill, and it also takes you got to be really freaking careful. You can't ham fist this thing. It's really delicate. So another vehicle, it's going to be like, let me turn that for you. There ain't no 8-year-old putting this thing together. I've been 8 before. I couldn't put this together at 15 and worth a damn. What did I say the other day? Was it the patience of a saint and an angel's touch? And have the right materials. Somehow that got twisted. Those little chairs are rather flimsy. So yeah, I thought that Airfix and Matchbox were very similar, and apparently they're not similar at all. I just, in my mind, I kind of put them in the same box, and they're not very similar at all, other than the age of when the models came out with. I find that they're very different. They're probably like Tamiya and Dragon. I think they're like Tamiya and Dragon. Tamiya would be the Matchbox, and Dragon would be the Airfix. The Airfix are much more involved. And I don't remember that from the MPC kits. Maybe the ones I have are just older kits. I don't remember the 88 being really involved. That Reconnaissance Crew 222 is like extremely basic vehicle. Extremely basic. Like, it's so basic that I'm going to turn mine into a wreck, you know? So, you came across him at a modeling show a few years ago. He's one man in the Cromwell mold. He does shows at Falkirk and Edinburgh. That's got to be a cool show to have one at Falkirk. Cromwell's awesome. Cromwell's incredible. Cromwell is incredible. I only have a couple of their tanks. That Tiger 1 is just... I held off on that thing for 25 years before I could build it, paint it correctly, and do it justice. That thing is absolutely gorgeous. Unfortunately, it's 176, so it's a little diminutive, but it works, you know? It works. I got that one from Brookhurst Hobbies in California when they were carrying Cromwell. When they were carrying a few Cromwell. They had a few Cromwell and a few MMS, and you know, I loved MMS, but I wouldn't, if they were still around, I wouldn't buy MMS stuff. It's very difficult to work with white metal. And their stuff is precision, but it's just difficult to work with white metal. And if something gets dropped, it's just so heavy, it crushes itself. Plastic is so much better, you know. Okay, well, it's time to get ready to go to the salt mines. Appreciate you guys coming on, as always. And we will see you... We'll see how this turns out. I'll put pictures on Facebook on this as soon as it gets ready. I have a feeling I'm going to be able to finish it at lunchtime. I'm going to come home and try to power through that. And because I want to see what it looks like. And unfortunately, we're not going to be able to see what the 2-pounder looks like painted yet, but we'll get there. I think it's going to be stellar. If not, we'll fix it. It'll be stellar. All right, folks. Thanks for coming by. Enjoy your Monday.